All right, so we have James Trotter. Welcome, James, and thank you for joining me. And where are you tuning in from?
I'm in Columbus right now from the Ohio State University.
When was the last time you were home with that pandemic thing?
Uh, I don't remember. I think it was 2019, like December. So like a year and a half ago. Yeah,
Wow,
it's
that's
been
a
it's
long
been a
time.
while. I mean, I haven't been home for a while.
Yes, so you have a very interesting background. So your mom is Japanese.
Yeah, she's Japanese and my dad's Australian.
Okay, so when I first met you, it completely threw me off because, so you're speaking with this Australian accent,
Yeah,
and then I'm like reeling off. And then then I looked at you, and then you sort of like, trying to grasp, I'm like, what is she talking about? Then I realized, oh my gosh, he lives in Japan. So I
yeah.
needed to see you as a Japanese, but then it was your accent that completely threw me off. That like he should be understanding what I'm speaking.
I
Um,
know a lot of people like gets confused with it because they look at me, they see an Asian guy, they expect me to like not have good English and like I talk in an Australian accent, so they'd be like, "Oh, so are you from Australia?" And I'm like, "No, I'm from Japan." And they'll be like, "Then where did you get that accent from?" And
I
yeah,
hear you.
I just tell them my dad's Australian.
Okay, so you obviously speak three three languages. I count Australian as the third
Okay,
language.
yeah,
Okay.
I guess
Okay,
yeah,
let's just put yeah. So you speak Japanese, and English. Obviously, Australian
yeah.
can throw in there. Now I speak three and a half. My French went from a full to a half, and probably in a quarter because of a lack of practice. Okay,
Yeah.
but so my mother tongue was actually Cambodian.
Yeah.
With the lack of practice, then my native long tongue goes down. Is that going to happen with your Japanese?
Well, I mean, that actually was interesting because at NCAA, I saw one of my friends from Japan, and obviously we talk in Japan, but Japanese, but like, yeah, it was kind of awkward, like speaking to someone in Japanese because I haven't spoken in Japanese for a long time. I don't really use Japanese when I'm here, so
Yeah.
like, I didn't stumble, but like, it was kind of like awkward, like, yeah,
Yeah, I can like with time, I've known you for now what 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah, like your English is like fluent now, and so I was always wondering, because people say that when you're speaking the language when you dream in that language.
Yeah,
Are you dreaming in English or Japanese?
I actually dream in both. Like it's interesting. So like if I dream of a place in the US, I dream in English. And if the place is in Japan, I dream in Japanese. So
You're so
yeah.
mixed up. You're so mixed up.
Yeah, so that's kind of
That's
interesting.
interesting. That is really
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so all right, so all jokes aside, how did you come about? You were living in Japan, you were playing ITF juniors. How did I mean, Ohio State is not a big state in foreigners, because when I grew up in Japan, I mean, we think about UCLA, USC,
Yeah.
Stanford, not Ohio State. Not that it's a great school. Curious how you came about that.
Yeah, so I was playing junior tennis and I was playing junior Wimbledon. And so the national junior national coach of the Japanese team was actually the teammate of our head coach.
Okay.
So like when I was playing junior Wimbledon, the Ohio State assistant coach came to watch, and he asked the head coach, who's this Japanese kid that's playing, and the head coach uh, emailed the national coach of Japan, and the national coach told me that Ohio State is kind of interested in you. So that's how I got to know Ohio State University. But before that, I had no idea that Ohio State even exists.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
And
no,
I only know the big name schools, like UCLA,
right.
USC, and those schools. So
Okay, so they watch you at Wimbledon. Is that what you said?
yeah.
Okay.
So the assistant coach told me that he saw my match against Sebastian Korda.
Hmm.
Yeah. So from then, I think he like yeah he told his head coach that uh yeah
That's
he
the
was
guy. We
interested.
want that
Yeah,
guy because that
I
guy's got a
guess.
huge serve. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you, I mean, obviously, when you're playing the junior grand slams, kids at that age, they're at that crossroad. Am I going to college or am I going to the tour? Obviously, you have the talent to go on the tour. So was that in line or did you have like to divert?
So I kind of had three options.
Oh,
First one's going pro, one's going to college in the US, one's going to college in Japan back home. So obviously my goal is to play professional tennis. So when you think about that, it's I thought it'll be either going on the tour, playing professional, or going to the college in the US where I can get high level practice and matches. But uh, at my level, when I finished juniors, I didn't think that uh, I'll be very successful right off the start in the tour. That's why I chose college tennis,
okay.
that I can get more match experience and high level practice. Yeah.
Okay. So what were you ranked around when you were done with the juniors in the ITF?
I was around 80, I think it was. Yeah.
That was excellent. I mean, 80, that's like good tennis. Was that the only school that with the offer or were there other schools offered?
Uh, there was actually a lot of schools, but the only schools I took a visit was Ohio State, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma.
Okay.
So yeah, those were the three schools I took a visit. I really liked the Ohio State practice environment, so yeah, I chose Ohio State.
Okay, so you actually made a trip over to do your official visit. You weren't coming for tournaments and then stopped by.
No, actually, I was playing the U.S. Open Juniors
Okay.
and took the three visits right off of that.
Okay. That would make sense because that's a long
Yeah,
haul coming from
yeah,
Japan just for
it
the
is a lot of money.
yeah, exactly. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna hop in the car and drive there, a few hours and then get there. Okay, so it was the environment that you stayed for a couple of days and you saw the guys practice. I mean, I know they run really intense practice,
Yeah,
and then
they
so
do.
that's why you made your decision was on the training on court.
Uh, yeah, that was a big reason that I chose them because like I said, my goal is to play professional tennis, and I wanted to train at a high level place that I can work as hard as I can. I think Ohio State was best environment to do that.
Go Bucks, right?
Yeah.
Um, so when you came, did you have an idea what on the position of the lineup you were playing in?
Uh, honestly, well, I didn't really play my freshman year, but I thought I would be playing like maybe 5 or 6, to be honest. And I don't know. I never played team tennis before coming to college, so it was kind of new to me. I didn't start off well and couldn't like play in the lineup as much as I wanted my freshman year. Yeah, but yeah, I thought I was gonna play like 5 or 6, to be honest.
Okay, that well, you came in with if I remember correctly, the whole team was just fantastic with JJ Wolf leading,
Yeah,
playing for the spot number one. And then with I think Tarp was there. It's interesting because when I met your second year, I think you were playing at the number 5 position.
Yeah.
And then this year you're playing number three position. You like moved
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Different
think
pressure. Different pressure.
no, I don't know. Even when I was playing number five, I was winning like 90% of my matches. I I know people are saying that I'm a lockdown at five. I didn't think that I would be losing to any people at five. Uh, I know even at three. Well, I think the biggest reason that I was able to move up and still keep a high winning percentage was working over the summer with you in Canada. I think it helped
Canada.
actually helped a lot. Yeah.
But I think that it helped that because you, like you said earlier, in your mind, you wanted to turn pro. Is that still in the picture?
Yes. I mean, I would love to play professional because that's been my goal since I was a kid. I mean, I'm training, working hard for that dream. So yeah,
Well,
it's definitely
just from a professional side, my observation for what's worth, with that big serve of yours with a huge forehand, I mean, your playing style, because I always say, there's that junior playing style, and
yeah,
then there's that pro playing style, and there's that
yeah,
college playing style. There are actually three different playing styles, three different coaching styles.
yeah,
And where for me, I'm watching you, it's like I see this pro is very much ingrained in you, and that has to come from your earlier training in your junior year. So share with me a little bit, what was your training like between, yeah, when did you start, what sports did you play, like when did you start and what sports did you play?
So I started playing tennis when I was 10 years old. I
That's late.
played, yeah, well, I
Wow.
played soccer and track and field 1 or 2 years before that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started tennis at 10. Up till when I was 15, 16, I only trained three days a week, 2 hours a day. That was my training, and I
Wow.
actually thought it was a lot, but yeah, after that, I just started training like 6 days a week or 5 days a week. Yeah, and I had this one coach from Japan that, uh, well, actually, I think he's a very good coach. Like, he was the guy that told me that my weapons, my serve and forehand, and my net play, and like always taught me how to like you said, like to play professional tennis, like not like junior or college tennis. Big
Okay.
serve, big forehand, and net play. So I think he helped me a lot to keep my play style that I have now.
That's really interesting that you said a playing style, because that's one areas where I feel a lot of juniors don't lock in into, is to figure out
Yeah,
what is their playing style, and then just work on that playing style to get better at it.
yeah,
But he sounds like a fantastic. I mean, based on what I saw and seeing in your technique, it's like, yeah, I mean, your serve technique is unbelievable. It's so effortless, and it just, and it gets the pace and precision where you're like, wow, he was taught well. You can see, even like your forehand, the impact point, very meticulous. Was your coach meticulous?
yeah. I think he was like, oh no, I think he was very uh like systematic. You could
Okay.
say
Yeah.
like in my strokes and stuff. So yeah, I think the strokes I have now is pretty much from him, except for the backhand because he like there was actually a funny story because he said that my weapons, my serve and forehand, about the backhand, just forget about it. That's what he said.
Okay, then.
Yeah,
But okay, so for the audience, I do want to share this piece with the audience. Okay, actually, in my workshop that just finished last week, and it was talking about open mindset, and then how it's difficult to change, whether it's changing a habit, changing behaviors, because we want to hold on to that comfort zone. right?
Yeah.
That backhand of yours, definitely. So everybody listen up. James Trotter for 19 years?
Uh,
No, 10
n-
to 9 years, for 9 years.
9 years. Yeah.
Okay, for 9 years, he played with a two-handed backhand. And then when he came to Canada, and okay, Ty Tucker, if you're listening, don't kill me. So you came to Canada, and then you decided to move on to a one-handed backhand, which is
Yeah.
really late, very similar to Pete Sampras, but Pete Sampras did it a lot younger,
Yeah.
right? When he went to, I think he went into what how old was he, like 15, 16? I can't remember.
Maybe, but yeah, he was not 21 years old.
He
So
was not 21. Exactly. Okay. So at 21, you decided to go from two hand to one hand, which I still think a bold move, a courageous move. What brought that change?
so well, I mean, I never had a great backhand, like two-handed backhand. My slice was, I would say, my best shot with my backhand. And like there was coaches before I came to college that tell me like your one hand, like when I'm just like playing around, looks better than your two hands.
Oh,
So like I was like thinking, if I'm gonna try to play pro, I don't think my two hands backhand is gonna like take me far, even though if it's not my weapon. So I was like, if I'm not gonna like get that far with my two handed backhand, might as like try out something that has a chance to like get me far. So that was my thoughts on like in order to change.
so you had the motivation. You had a
Yeah,
motivation to, like, you still, your motivation, you still want to get in the pros, and that gave you the courage to change. And I believe that it helped you, because after you made that change, it took you what? You were here for 6 months. Yeah.
yeah,
It took you 4 of the 6 months, because 2 months we couldn't do anything. But it took you like a 4 months, switch to the one backhand. And then you went back to school and went to a tournament. And I think you won it.
yeah. I went back to school, won 2 tournaments in a row with it. Yeah,
I mean, who does that? But, and also the tournament that you won were not, I mean, there were tough college players in it as well.
yeah. There was a few good college players there.
Yeah, you probably shocked them. I bet you during the match, those players probably thinking, "Wait, wasn't he two-handed back?" Because no one knew. Because no one
Yeah,
knew, right?
I know.
Okay, so let's move back to Japan. Okay, this makes sense, because when I watch you do fitness, and then the fitness coach also, confirmed it. You were, I mean, your technique was like an athlete. You are an athlete, and which is had to come from somewhere. And as you mentioned, soccer and track you were in. Was that in at school that you did it with?
Well, yeah. Well, I just said that I played soccer and track because like I actually played in matches and like tournaments. But other than that, I played pretty much like every sport for fun, like baseball, uh, except for swimming. I can't swim, but yeah. Other than that, I almost played every sports. I think it helped me a lot growing up, especially in a young age. I think that's where it came from.
Okay, that was my next question, was, how do you think those other multi sports brought to your athleticism on the court?
Yeah, I think it obviously helps, especially at a young age, like doing a lot of sports. It also helps like trying to figure out which sport you're good at, like, and especially track and field. I think it helped me a lot, like my movement and stuff, like being explosive on the court. It's very similar. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it obviously helps.
Yeah, for sure. With your college, so you're an international student, obviously, and yeah, believe it or not, you already know this, right? Canadians are considered international students, even though we're like
Yeah.
neighbors with the U.S. Take us through the process once you have accepted. So you got the offer from from the coach from Ohio State. Your coach helped you, like, did your coach or your parents help you through, like, to pick which schools?
Uh, it was for my case. It was more like my decision. My parents were, I think they were fine with whatever I choose. I think they trusted me that I will choose what's best for my goals. So I think it was more like my decision, and I don't know. I don't know if the coaches helped me a lot with those decisions, but yeah, for me, it was my decision.
Okay. And you brought up a really good point. And this is one of the things that I have shared, when parents ask me, how do they know that it's a good fit? Is it, with the school for their child? And my response has always been, you got to know, or that their child needs to know what is their goal. Your goal is to be on the pro. So, there's tennis after college. So you're
Yeah,
looking for a school that has good training, good environment, good competition
yeah,
that would get you there. And then, obviously, if the player is not going to go to the pro after tennis, then it would make sense to go to maybe a school that the primary goal is more academic. Would you say that would be a good judgment?
yeah. Well, I think there'll be like goals for each person. My goal is to play professional, like, and some people can be academics. Some people might be like having a good college experience. I think it's important to know your what you're going to college for. Like, yeah, if my uh yeah, it's obviously like if you want a good academic school, like you go to a good school with academics. If you want to go to a good like sports, like good like training environment, you go to a good like high level school. Like,
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, the situation is this. You got this scholarship from three different schools. All right. So now you have picked Ohio State. You come back home from your official visits. Then what was the next process? You had to get your visa together, or how? What were you doing?
so it's like I came back home. I actually thought about it for a week and replied to the coaches, replied to Ty and other schools too. So after that, Ty helped me. My head coach helped me through the process of getting a visa. It was it was quite easy, to be honest. You just had to like fill out paperwork. So you have to go to the embassy and answer some questions, and you'll get your visa. But it took a while though. Like it was simple, but it took a while to get my
Oh,
visa.
you mean waiting for the wait for the
Yes,
student visa?
yes, yes. I think it took like a month. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Did you have to take SAT or ACT?
I took SAT and a TOEFL test.
And that's right, for
Yes,
international students.
yeah. Not on if you're in if English is not your primary language.
Yes, and your English was not your primary, like now it is probably, but at the
Yeah,
time, your English was not your primary.
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
how much was a shock? How much of an adjustment was it? Because when I was on the tour, and there were a lot of Japanese players, and I know that they had a hard time adjusting to the Western world because the lifestyle and culture are so different. How much of an
Yeah.
adjustment was it for you?
Well, to be honest, before I went to college, I thought it was just like going to a tournament, like a junior tournament, and I didn't think that would be that hard because I've been to the US multiple times. But yeah, living there is another different level. Like living there, you don't have any friends from back home. Yeah, it was a shock that like the food's different, but I don't know. Yeah, it took me a while, like a few months to get used to it.
Well, not only do you have to adapt to the life changes of lifestyle, also the coaching is different because yeah,
Yeah,
it's you were mentioning at home you were practicing 3 times, but eventually you went to 6 times a
yeah.
week. Were you in group or were you in private or a bit of both in Japan?
It was kind of a bit of both. Like it was a group practice, but if you ask the coaches, you can do private practices too. So like you can work on what you want to work on.
Okay. Do you remember if you were like, was it a program that was like 3, 4 hours a day and then plus fitness or?
It was like 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, and but that includes like fitness too.
Okay.
So yeah,
6 hours a day.
it's like 3 hours in the morning, 1.5 in the afternoon, and 1.5 of fitness.
Oh, yeah, that's still 6 hours. That's like
Yeah,
a work day. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Um, Now Japan, obviously I was in Japan for a few, what, 3, 4 weeks, I guess that a couple of years ago. You can't really, did you have to take a train to your training or how's
So
the training?
yeah, like it was kind of far where I trained from my house, so I usually like take a train, and my coach picks me up from the train station and just go to the courts and drops me off after practice.
Okay, so that's interesting. What time did the, okay, I'm trying to get a sense there. What time did the program start?
9 o'clock,
What time did you have to leave home?
like 7:15.
Okay. So, and then every day, and then what time did you come home by?
So we finished around uh like 5 o'clock. So
Okay.
like around 7:30, I think it was. That I come
Wait.
back home.
So it's a 2 hour train ride?
Yeah, it's like 1 hour to this train station, like drive, like with my coach, and like I usually like uh get something to eat and stuff. So yeah, it's like hour to get
Okay.
back from the station.
Okay. So every day. That's
Yeah,
that's a lot of traveling hours to get
it was. Yeah,
yeah, because I think that Americans and well, North Americans, we get a little spoiled, right? I mean, when we have to drive more than 20 minutes, we think it's really far.
yeah.
Yeah. So just put things into perspective. What are you majoring in now?
I'm in sports industry right now.
Okay. And did you know what you were going to major in? Because you have to declare your major before, right?
Yes, for international students, you need to declare a major, but you can change it. So I was first in communication, uh, because I didn't really know what I want to do because tennis was my number one priority
They didn't
back
have
then.
tennis as a major.
No, sadly, no. I think my head coach would love it, but
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't. So I was in communication because I was told that it has a lot of options to expand from that major. But I after 2 years, I think, yeah, 2 years, I changed my mind. I thought sports industry was more interesting than communication because my life's been involved around sports.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I changed it.
Okay. So you mentioned something really interesting before that, you didn't grow up in a team environment. Obviously, I think, and that's almost natural, right? All the juniors, it's
Yeah.
all about,
Yeah.
I'm me and myself. You go to tournaments, it's you, and that's it, right? And then you have to land and learn very quickly how to be a team player.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I know with Isabel, her first year when she had to cheer on her teammate, it threw her entire. I could see like, whoa, wait a
Yeah.
minute, Um, how was that a big adjustment for you to become an individual, solely consuming on yourself, and then go into a team environment?
Yes, it was. it was tough for me. I mean, it took me almost a year to get like fully buying into like an actual team, college team. And yeah, I remember I had to like stand in a corner screaming "Go Bucks" because I wasn't screaming as loud enough. But yeah, like after a while, I started buying in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see how that could be. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. I must admit that I was not a very loud cheerleader for my team when I was
yeah,
at UCLA. Just because I mean, my switch was either on or off. I couldn't go on and off like a lot of the people. But you had to go on and off very quickly.
yeah,
You did great. I mean, I've watched you won so many clutch matches at school, and that's a lot of pressure on you.
yeah. It is always a lot of pressure, especially when your team's at 3-0 or even 3-2, and you kind of decide whether the team wins or loses. So yeah, it is a
Okay.
lot of pressure.
That's a lot. Yeah, learning how to play with with pressure. It's a good thing because at the end of the day, when you go play, it's different. I think college pressure because you want to win for your team.
Yeah,
And then when you go on the tour, your own, the pressure is completely different
yeah.
altogether. How what's your take on that extra year, with the pandemic, and of course now the fifth year it's you have that fifth year back if you choose to come back to school. Is that
Yeah.
a good thing, or what's your take on that?
Uh, well, I think it's a good thing for people that want to play college tennis. Like, they'll obviously have another year to like play college tennis and uh, like take back what they missed out last year. So I think it's a good thing for people that want to play college tennis. But for people that want to play professional tennis, I think it's a different story because college tennis does not translate to professional tennis. There's no ATP points in college tennis. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if your goal is to be professional, I think you have to be smart with it. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be taking it, but I think you need to know that college tennis does not translate to professional tennis.
Yeah, just like we were saying earlier, right? There's that junior tennis, and then there's that pro tennis, and then there's that
Yeah,
college tennis, right? So you just depending on which part you're in, you just have to adapt to that situation and get the most out of that situation. What is the you can take a few seconds to think about this. What is your takeaway? What did you learn from your coach in Japan?
yeah.
Yeah, he obviously is a big part of your life, in your tennis journey. What was your takeaway? What did you learn from him? And then what are you learning? Just one thing or two. What are you learning from where you are? And so three, and the third part is how can you connect the two to your advantage?
So what I learned from my coach back home, the number one thing that he told me before I came to the US was that people are gonna give you a lot of advice,
Including
but
me.
yeah, a lot of people will give you advice, but you'll have to be able to pick out what's good for you and what's not good for you. Like, for example, if you have advice that for me, go like attack with my backhand more. Like that's not my play style. It might be, it is kind of important to me, but like that's not my play style. So like I have to know what to take from the advice and sometimes just like not ignore it, but like
You
you
have
have
to
to know
shuffle
what's important
through.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So for my head coach now, I think the what I learned was I think toughness. I mean, that's what he like always tells me. That's like it's like physical toughness, mental toughness. Like you have to. Oh, and like, well, I think being tough is the same as having a good attitude. Like nothing goes well when you have a bad attitude. Like if you think about it, when you're playing bad, having a bad attitude, it's not gonna help. Like if it helps, I think everyone would be doing it. So
Then everybody
yeah,
would be good because I think most people have no problem having bad attitude.
yeah, yeah. But being mentally tough and having a good attitudes, I think no, the number one thing that I learned from my coach always, like even when you're having a bad day, think yeah, I think that's what I learned, and combining them together.
That's really powerful. I mean, just listening to you of the thing you learn from your coaches, getting, shuffle through, get the best of the advice from people, plus grit.
Yeah,
I mean, that's equal to, like, for me, like, that's equal to success, because you can't have success without being smart. You gotta, because you're right, people, not just in your tennis but in everything, people want to help, and then so they,
yeah,
right or wrong, they're just going to give you
yeah,
information,
yeah,
you know and then, yeah,
yeah.
you have to be smart enough.
Yeah, I think it's not just tennis. I think it's the same in real life too. You need to have good energy, good attitude. Like that's what's gonna make like good things happen. So
Yeah. So and I always talk about, like, the difference also of inspiration and aspiration. So, like, inspiration, it's something that inspires you. Yeah, you're in line, something happens, like, that shows you, these players, these advice are in line with your journey. Somebody can say something and it just completely inspires you to move forward, so you're in
yeah,
line with that. And then, an aspiration, your aspiration is to turn pro. So, you to me, it's like, and you're inspired and you're aspired to, with your journey. um and to the audience, is like, I've seen how every one of you is working on the court with, Coach Ty Tucker, and it comes to me, is like, probably, I don't think I would have handled it well, you know and I'm a hard
yeah,
worker. But what I absolutely love from that situation is because he is relentless with his training, because it
yeah,
is true, even when you're tired, you have to have the grit, the attitude to go through it, because your opponent doesn't care if you're having a bad
yeah. That
day,
is true. Yeah,
right? And your opponent's job is to make your life miserable,
yeah.
right?
They
And
want to
you,
make it hard on you.
yeah, well, exactly. They want to make it so hard on you because they want a W. So, so what you're learning, like, right now, is hardship. You're putting the hardship, emotionally, mentally, physically, in there right now. And by the end of your fourth, fifth year, when you go on the tour, it's gonna serve you well. Those are the tools that you can come away from school, and it's gonna serve you on the tour. I have no doubt that you're gonna end up on the tour, by the way. I have no doubt. So, this is the missing part, or the part that will, is the glue for your future. All right. Last question for you. What would your advice be for the teenagers, wanting to go and play for a great school?
Uh, I think that they'll need to know what their goals are, and also they need to like in order to choose which school they want to go, not just look at the results they have, but look at the environment of the team. I think that's uh, it's a good factor to like look at when you choosing schools, because I hear like people transferring and saying that they don't like the environment, even though it's a good like tennis school. So I think it's important to like uh, look at the team. If like, do you know if it's an environment that you can train and like get better? So I think that's pretty important.
Know your goals and look at the environment for a good fit,
Yes, not just the results.
not just the result. Great suggestion. Well, James Trotter, thank you so much for sharing your time.
Yeah.
Sunday. Yes, Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon with us. And you're going to a tournament soon, right?
Yeah, I'm going first week in June to a tournament.
Oh, to a tournament. Okay. Well, wish you the best of luck. And then
Thank
you
you.
get to
Go home. Yeah, finally.
wow. Finally, I don't know if they're gonna
Yeah.
recognize you.
Yeah, I wish my flight doesn't get canceled.
No, it's not going to get canceled.
I hope not,
You
yeah.
yeah, no. You need to go home. I'm sure your parents are missing you like crazy, even though you're a man practically. All right. So
Yeah.
wish you the best of luck, safety, healthy, and keep working hard on your journey.
Okay, thank you.
I will speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
James. Have a good day.